6 months ago, you got a raise. The number hit your inbox, and for a few seconds, maybe longer, that background financial pressure actually loosened. The tight feeling that follows you around was finally going to stop. Now look at your bank account. If you're being honest, not much has changed. Your income went up, the raise was real, the number moved, but your financial position feels almost identical to where it was before it happened. Maybe even tighter. Here's what nobody tells you: that's not discipline failing, that's not bad habits. That's biology, and there's a 48-hour window after every salary raise that determines whether the money builds wealth or disappears. Most people never use it. I'm going to walk you through 3 layers of proof today. Not motivation, not advice. Mathematical proof that shows exactly why your raise is dissolving, how much it's costing you in real compound dollars, and what happens in the 48 hours that decides everything. The third layer is the one that makes this personal, but you need the first 2 to understand why the math is already running against you. Layer 1 starts in your brain. In 1999, behavioral economists Frederick and Lowenstein published research on a mechanism called hedonic adaptation, the automatic process by which your brain resets its happiness baseline after any positive change. You receive a salary raise. For a few weeks, the new income registers as extra. Then, without a single conscious decision, your brain reclassifies it. The new amount becomes the new normal. Research on this reset consistently puts the window at roughly 90 days. Not 90 days until you feel better about money. 90 days until the raise stops feeling like more and starts feeling like just enough. That's the biological clock running in the background every single time your income changes. Layer 2 is where it gets uncomfortable. These aren't the impulse purchases you beat yourself up about. This is something different. The spending that happens after a salary raise and doesn't feel like spending at all. The apartment that finally made sense at the new income level. The restaurant that became a regular instead of a treat. The subscription that seemed reasonable now. Behavioral economists call this status maintenance, and it operates on completely different psychology than impulse buying. Impulse buying feels like weakness. Status maintenance feels like accuracy, like you're finally living in alignment with who you actually are. That's why it doesn't trigger guilt. It doesn't register as a financial decision. It registers as catching up. But here's what that catching up actually costs. The average salary raise in the US falls between $1,000 and $1,500 per month for workers who successfully negotiate. Take the conservative number, $1,000 per month. If that $1,000 flows entirely into lifestyle inflation, the upgrades that feel like alignment, the real cost isn't $12,000 a year. At a conservative 7% annual market return, $1,000 per month redirected to income investing instead of lifestyle becomes $165,000 over 10 years. Not a projected best case. Conservative math, that's the number sitting on the other side of every raise that felt like permission. Now comes the cognitive shift. Most people hear lifestyle inflation and think they understand it. But there's a specific number most people never calculate: the compound interest cost of the raise they didn't invest. You didn't lose $12,000, you lost $165,000, and because of hedonic adaptation, you lost it invisibly. The spending didn't show up as a mistake, it showed up as alignment, as logical next steps, as the version of your life that finally matched your income level. This is the mechanism that keeps above-average earners financially stuck, not catastrophic decisions. The quiet, identity-level lifestyle inflation that scales automatically with every salary raise and carries a $165,000 compound interest price tag each time it does. Here's the number that makes this real. The average professional receives 4 to 6 salary increases over a decade. Apply this math across each raise and the opportunity cost doesn't add, it compounds on itself. The person earning above median income who feels vaguely stuck despite working harder isn't stuck because of what they earn. They're stuck because of what the raise convinced them they deserved. This is where the proof becomes personal. Think about your last raise, not abstractly, actually remember it. What changed in your spending in the 90 days that followed, the upgrade that felt small, the recurring cost that seemed justified, the version of something you already had that now came at a higher price with a reason that made complete sense at the time. Now multiply that by the next raise and the one after that. Hedonic adaptation isn't just psychology. It's a compounding mechanism running in the opposite direction of your wealth building. Every time income rises, the baseline resets. Every time the baseline resets, the lifestyle upgrades from the previous raise are no longer upgrades, they're minimum requirements. And the next raise has to be larger just to recreate the same temporary feeling of progress. You're not building toward financial independence. you're maintaining an ever higher floor. And the window to interrupt this cycle, the biological window that exists only at the moment income changes, most people let it close without making a single intentional financial decision. Here's what the pattern looks like across a career. Raise 1 arrives, you feel it for 60 days, maybe 90. The lifestyle adjusts, the baseline resets. Raise 2 arrives at a higher level. The cycle repeats. By raise 3, the spending isn't even noticeable, it's just the natural overhead of living at your income level. The money habits that were supposed to change after each salary raise have absorbed the raise entirely. Meanwhile, the compound interest that should have been compounding for you has been compounding the opportunity cost against you. If you've received 3 salary increases and your net worth hasn't moved proportionally, this is the proof. Now here's the part that changes the math permanently. The 48-hour raise rule works for one specific reason. It operates inside the window. Within 48 hours of receiving any salary raise, you automate a specific percentage of that increase, not all of it, just the new raise portion, directly to an investment account, before the money appears as available in your checking balance. Before your brain has time to register what your new normal looks like, before hedonic adaptation begins the 90-day reset. The rule isn't about discipline, it's about timing. You're not fighting your biology, you're using the one moment biology gives you. The 48-hour window is the only point in the entire salary raise cycle where the new money still feels like extra, where the income investing decision is clean, where redirecting it doesn't feel like sacrifice. After 90 days, making that same investment, the exact same dollar amount, will feel like cutting your lifestyle. The money hasn't changed, the psychology has, the window has closed. Automate within 48 hours and the investment becomes part of your baseline before the baseline resets. Your brain normalizes the lower take-home, the compound interest runs, and the $165,000 over a decade isn't a missed opportunity in your past. It's a wealth-building position you hold going forward. Most personal finance advice says invest more. This isn't that. This is a specific 48-hour window tied to a documented biological mechanism that determines whether your salary raise builds wealth or disappears into lifestyle inflation. The reason it works isn't motivation, it's that it operates before motivation is even required. Discipline is hardest when the lifestyle has already adjusted. The 48-hour raise rule makes the investment decision before adjustment begins, before deserving kicks in, before the new income feels normal. Here's your challenge. Go back to your last 3 salary raises. For each one, calculate how much of the increase you redirected to investment within 48 hours. Now run the compound interest math on what that amount would be today. The gap between what you have and what that number shows, that's the real cost of every time the window stayed closed. The next raise is coming. Your brain already knows what it's going to do with it. The identity level spending is already waiting, already making logical sense before the income even changes. The only variable you actually control is the 48 hours before hedonic adaptation runs the reset, because the math doesn't care if you understand this. The compound interest runs whether you use the window or not. Every salary raise is either building toward $165,000 or it's becoming the floor your next raise has to clear just to feel like progress. The timer is already running.